In obscurity days before gadgets like TiVo were presented, it was difficult to record live TV. Also, simply disregard stopping in to go to the washroom or get a bite. TiVo changed all that with its presentation of computerized video recorder innovation, which upset how we watch television. With a TiVo connected to your TV, you could record numerous stations without a moment's delay, making it practically difficult to miss a most loved show. Significantly more amazing, the framework made it conceivable to skip advertisements, an element that everybody appreciated. One TiVo's marking was effective to such an extent that it turned into an action word. Individuals would state that they TiVo'd something to observe later. Shockingly, it was not to last. As computerized innovation kept on developing, DVRs turned out to be generally unnecessary. TiVo adjusted to the occasions, but gradually, and saw its piece of the overall industry drop significantly. At that point, in 2016, roadies got TiVo for a cool $1.1 billion and changed roadies' organization name to TiVo Corporation. As the new TiVo Corporation zeroed in on permitting its innovation instead of delivering equipment, it turned into an alluring takeover target itself. In 2020, TiVo Corporation finished the $3 billion merger with Akiri Corporation, a firm that worked in authorizing tech and protected innovation. The new organization is called Akiri Holding Corporation. The consolidated element will keep on utilizing the TiVo brand for shopper confronting computerized amusement items and administrations. Yet, not the first TiVo computerized video recorder that so huge numbers of us knew and cherished. That is a tech dinosaur cleared out by the space rock. Google Glass appeared with an enormous measure of media consideration and buzz in 2012. The organization's gaudy item demo included skydivers streaming their bounces through the device. The item was advertised as much for its oddity and selectiveness concerning its innovation, and the public gobbled it up. Alleged glass explorers were allowed to demo the model for 1 month before it was made accessible to people in general. Tech aficionados clamor for their set. Google Glass had a coordinated 5-megapixel still/720p camcorder. Notwithstanding, that center component was likewise a critical issue. Security concerns emerged when the item previously got famous as the gadget was actually abusing existing protection laws in some areas. Another central point in finishing Google Glass was its strong $1,500 sticker price. All the exhibition and boundless public enthusiasm for the gadget vanished rather rapidly. By 2015, Google Glass was viably dead as a purchaser electronic device. At once, nearly everybody with an internet association had a MySpace page. The online media stage was the first of its sort. From 2005 until 2009, it was the biggest on the planet and flaunted in excess of 100 million clients for each month. In 2005, it was bought by News Corporation for $580 million. Was as universal then as Google and Facebook are currently, and it was a money-making machine. In 2008, the organization created $800 million in income. It was esteemed at $12 billion at its tallness, making it one of the biggest internet tech organizations on earth. Yet, it wasn't to last. Despite being a compelling trailblazer in the domain of web-based media, MySpace saw a checked decrease in clients in 2009 and past. Facebook appeared unexpectedly to supersede MySpace as the go-to web-based media network, and that has stayed valid for more than a decade. MySpace was sold in 2011 to Specific Media Group and Justin Timberlake by means of a joint buy for $35 million. The sharp decrease in the organization's valuation couldn't have been more evident. Actually, MythSpace is still near. It creates promotion income, however far not exactly at its peak. Premies player, albeit numerous individuals perusing this are presumably wearing an Apple or Samsung smartwatch. Quite possibly somebody is wearing a Pebble. In 2012, Pebble turned into the most supported Kickstarter result ever when its makers raised $10 million on the platform. At the time, smartwatches were simply starting to surface available. Through the Kickstarter lobby, Pebble had the option to develop the huge after. The flood of cash made it workable for the organization to improve its ideas further, and sponsors started getting their watches in mid-2013. From there, the organization dispatched more watches legitimately to the general population and even started another Kickstarter crusade in 2015 that created $20.3 million. Rock was bringing in cash and hoped to set its place in the smartwatch marketplace. By the next year, Pebble was everything except gone. Budgetary issues required the arrival of assets got by means of Kickstarter, and everything was closed somewhere near December 2016. Fitbit bought the organization's protected innovation, and Pebble is currently old. Rock flopped because of the absence of capital and Apple's entrance into the commercial center, which redirected Pebble's clients even as Apple extended the market. But from the cinders of Pebble rose the phoenix of Rebel. Ex-representatives, fans, and designers congregated on GitHub to supplant the web benefits once gave by Pebble to their smartwatches. Despite the fact that the first Pebble equipment will in the long run kick the bucket, this roused circle of rebels means to make the Rebelios to run on a future variant of watch hardware. Rebel's upper hand is hazy now. The gathering's motivation, Pebble, was at first intended to contend at a much lower value point than Apple items. Additionally, as designer Joshua Wise explained, the Apple Watch. What's more, Android Wear needed you to communicate with them, to make them the focal point of your life. The Pebble needs to not under any condition be essential for your life, up until it accomplishes something valuable for you, and afterward it releases you back to your life. Nintendo has made a portion of the world's most inventive approaches to play computer games. The organization brought back the computer game industry following the market crash in the mid-1980s. However, not all things made by Nintendo is beneficial. The Wii U, for instance, was a monstrous disappointment. In any case, it scarcely enrolls when contrasted with the debacle that was the Virtual Boy. In 1995, Nintendo delivered one of its weirdest, generally awkward, and most awfully planned results ever in the Virtual Boy. The gadget was showcased as an augmented experience style of gaming, yet it wasn't virtual in any way. Rather, it offered stereoscopic 3D glasses, like those found in cinemas, to show 32-digit red graphics. 5 players would incline toward the head-mounted framework and play with the joint regulator. The framework utilized a parallax impact to recreate the dream of profundity, yet all it truly did was give players a beating headache. When it was delivered, the Virtual Boy was promoted as a development in computer-generated reality gaming. Be that as it may, the framework was awful. It hit the market in a deficient state on the grounds that the organization needed to zero in on the Nintendo 64. Just 22 games were made, and the framework was dropped in size. Individuals have been unlawfully replicating programming since the time it was conceivable to do as such. The equivalent is valid for advanced music, which rose in prevalence during the 1990s gratitude to MP3s. Individuals downloaded and shared this music broadly on different stages. Be that as it may, The most mainstream one was Napster. The organization was established in 1999 and turned into the essential hotspot for distributed document sharing on the web. At its pinnacle, this fiercely famous programming had around 80 million enrolled clients. Obviously, it wasn't without contention. Napster turned into the objective of legitimate concerns when Metallica's Before everybody had a GPS tracker in their pockets, individuals utilized an obsolete innovation known as a paper guide to get around. Until the 21st century, a great many people had a guide or two in their vehicles consistently, yet MapQuest changed all that. MapQuest went online in 1996, and it offered free planning administrations to its clients. Individuals could go to the site, enter their objective, and print out a guide with bit-by-bit guidelines on the most proficient method to arrive. Nowadays, the PDA is less a telephone and more a minuscule and incredible PC that happens to settle on telephone decisions. Thinking back to the 90s, in any case, the idea of a PC in the pocket was considered fantastical, that is, until the Palm Pilot was launched. In 1996, the first Palm Pilot personal digital assistant was delivered. Buyers wondered about its unimaginable capacities, which appear to be outdated contrasted with what's accessible today. The first Palms didn't have illuminated screens and were restricted by a limit of 512 kilobytes of RAM and sequential correspondences ports. Today, with the press of a catch, you can observe nearly anything whenever. Yet, it wasn't generally similar to that. Delivered in 1975, the primary item that let an enormous number of shoppers record and watch programs later was the Betamax. The following year, JVC's opponent configuration, VHS, was presented. Even after that occurred, Sony's Betamax innovation was the highest quality level in video recording and playback. It altered how individuals expended TV during the 1970s and the 80s. The Segway turned into a mainstream society symbol very quickly. It was included in a scene of South Park and numerous different shows and films. Steve Jobs once called it as large an arrangement as the PC, which was high recognition originating from him. Afterward, he withdrew his announcement by saying the Segway sucked. Still, the Segway was a serious deal at first. With its energized season of 4 to 6 hours and a maximum velocity of 16 km for every hour 10 miles per hour, it was a convenient gadget. In spite of the fact that the public preferred the Segway, it was restrictively costly, costing around $5,000 or more for another unit. Please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new. Thanks for watching.